Ah, my mic was muted the entire time. So that's pretty good. Alright, so to recap, hello. Welcome back to Scholar of the First Sin. I'm Alex, and that's what we're playing. We're doing a in-depth lore playthrough, focusing on the story. Yeah. That's what we're doing today. I'm failing to parry these hollows like a chump. But yeah, the reason my shield is so tiny is because this is a parrying shield. It's not really for physical defense. But we're not really using it to block. If we wanted to use a shield for blocking, we'd be using a physical blocking shield. You know what I'm saying? Whoa, where are you going, buddy? How you like them parries? How you like them parries, son? So this is kind of like a small secret section. You can get to it from two different directions. This is the earliest you can get to it from. Way too early. Way too early. Whoa. You need to relax there, guy. Come on. Relax-a-roni. Like I said, there are two ways technically to get to this section. The other direction, you wouldn't be able to get to it for a little while. But there's some good early game loot over here, so we're gonna go ahead and take care of that while we can. Come on. None of that. Get parried, son. I don't know why I didn't post him. That was odd. Guess it doesn't really matter. There are no brakes on this parry train tonight. Whoa! So I don't know if y'all can tell, but I gotta admit I'm pretty excited today for playing this. I must admit, I'm riding a little bit on hype from the Frozen Throne. The Hearthstone expansion came out today, and it is good. But I'm excited to play this today because there is not a whole lot of dialogue. We get some good old-fashioned Dark Souls combat coming up for the most part here. So to go from like one night where it was basically all just dealing with dialogue to tonight where we're actually getting to play the game, feels good, man. Feels good. Well, elevations cause such weird things in Dark Souls 2. Bizarre stuff. Pick up more life gems. Kind of a little hidden treasure right there. You could say a little hidden gem in that corner over there. Soul of a Proud Knight. This guy likes to throw fireballs at us. And he can kill you if you are not careful. But you're invincible while opening doors. However, not while trying to roll away. It's okay, we got Estes. He was trying to intimidate you with his dancing. Makes sense. I can see it. He's a spoopy dancer guy. Spooky dancing hollow man. I really don't like this jump. But we gotta do it, man. We gotta do it. Oh, I made it. Sweet deal. I almost always miss that jump. I believe those are the first prism stones that we picked up, though. Whoops. I'm trying to think if maybe I missed any lore. Not really. I think I pretty much got everything that I needed to get so far. The fire longsword. Can you kill the salamander? Yes, you can. If you have the equipment for it, you can kill it from that side, but you fight it later on from the other direction that you could possibly get to this same area from. But that's not until later. Let's take a look at this fire longsword. Standard straight sword. This straight sword is sufficient in most respects and effective in most situations if wielded properly. Those who aspire to master the sword are certain to wield this at some point during their journey. The fire longsword is basically a regular longsword with the fire enchantment. It's a pretty good early game weapon in general. Actually, truth be told, it's a pretty good whole damn game weapon, to be honest with you. It's a little underrated, but that weapon can bring you through your entire game if you really want it to. Ain't nothing bad about it. We might end up using it as a secondary weapon. Ow. How about you stop doing that? That's all I have to say about that. Are you going to look at that? The one past the first ironclad knight? What? Oh. Yeah, I did forget to look at the foot soldier shield. Thank you for reminding me. A small shield used by Drangleic foot soldiers. A clearly makeshift shield that does not offer significant defense. The only advantage of this shield is that it makes parrying easier. So it's a small shield. Small shields are intrinsically better at parrying. Small shields give you additional parrying frames, which is part of the reason why we're using the shield that we're using right now. So I can have a little bit of an edge with parrying, because I kind of have been going to town on the parry front. As you can clearly see, we got parries for days. Parries for all these hollows. Ain't no thing. But it's kind of interesting, in a sense, because it suggests that the hollow infantry that we're fighting, I mean, clearly they are, but the hollow infantry that we're fighting, who were soldiers of the Drangleic army, are really poorly equipped. You know, they're really poorly equipped for the job that they're doing. So maybe it shouldn't come to as such a surprise to find that later we discover that poor Vendrick didn't have such a good time against the Giants. Not at all, and that's probably why. That or in life they love to use parries. Probably both. I mean, just because a piece of equipment seems crappy doesn't mean it's useless. Like the short sword, for instance. Trying to get this Titanite lizard with the rapier. Don't do it, man. Don't do it. You're gonna have a bad time. But trying to get him with the fire longsword or the short sword here, it's a good time. That's what you got to do. More Titanite shards. More Titanite shards. We already looked at Titanite shards, didn't we? I did pick up some armor that we haven't looked at. The Hollow Soldier Helm. Helm worn by hollowed royal soldiers. Appears to be crafted with quality materials, but is highly degraded and close to falling apart. Wearing this will be of little use. Helm worn by hollowed infantry. A piece of basic minimal equipment. Worse yet, it's worn and nearly falling apart. Not recommended unless your options are spent. So the Hollow Soldier Helm, the Royal Soldiers seem to be pretty well equipped. The Hollow Infantry, not so much. What I think, and this is pure speculation, there's absolutely no evidence, this is just one or the other. What I think is probably likely is the regular infantry was probably made up mostly of conscripts and put together after, Vendrick realized that the war was going south real quick. That's my guess. Hollow infantry boots, pretty much the same description. That seems to be what item descriptions like that are suggesting. That the army was overall, very ill-equipped except for the few kind of elite soldiers. Was that a different piece of equipment? No, that's the same thing. But it's understandable that there's a lot of it laying around. There should be a chest over here. Yep. Walked right past it. The infantry was a bunch of red shirts, sacrificial lambs to slow the enemy, or just a bunch of dopes who tried to parry literally everything. Well, we're the dope who's going to be parrying literally everything, or everything we can parry. And I don't think that it was so much that they were a bunch of red shirts. Like I said, to me, it seems to make sense that most likely they were kind of just conscripts, like drafted into the army when Vendrick realized that they were losing the battle against the giants. Something terrible. Small leather shield and repair powder. Let's take a look at the small leather shield. A small leather-covered shield, a particularly traditional type of small shield. Small shields are very light and easy to use, but not very stable when attacked. I wonder if there's any real difference in the parry frames on these guys. There is. The buckler does have more parry frames than the small leather shield and the infantry shield. So we're going to go ahead and keep on keeping on with our buckler. I am going to keep the short sword equipped, I think. Yeah, I don't believe the ironclads are parryable. I don't believe they are. I don't know if I've ever tried it, to be honest with you. I might try it at some point eventually. But now that I think about it, I don't think I've actually attempted to parry them. But chances are pretty good that they can't be parried anyway, so might not be a whole lot to worry about in that regard. Get a divine blessing. Divine blessing. Holy water endowed with a divine blessing. Cures status effects and fully restores HP. Water blessed by an ancient goddess. Her name is long forgotten, and the Magic Academy of Melphia denies even her existence. The Magic Academy of Melphia denies even her existence. In any age, there are those who refuse to see reason. It is their meddling that distorts the truth. The Magic Academy of Melphia. I don't think I've ever heard of that before. Huh. Green blossom. I don't think we read this at all either. Green weed shaped like a leafy flower temporarily boosts stamina recovery speed. At one point, this herb was avoided due to its unusually bitter taste, but once its effects became known, it was harvested to near extinction by merchants. Now, only exceptionally rare wild specimens of this plant are left. Fire bombs. Bisque urn filled with black powder explodes, inflicting fire damage. Though this urn is a crude and commonplace weapon, it owes its continued usage to its simplicity and effectiveness in a variety of situations. That is pretty true. Especially in Dark Souls 1 and 3. Witching urn. A small clay urn enwreathed in magic explodes, inflicting magic damage. Created in Melphia, a land that flourishes with magic and pyromancy. Though the magic contained in the urn lacks potency, it is a boon to any inexperienced traveler. Created in Melphia, a land that flourishes with magic and pyromancy. Huh. That's interesting to me. Because because of its apparent relations to another area in the game. That's really interesting. We'll talk about it later on. I need to make an earmark here for this stuff about Melphia. I don't think we looked at the rusted coin either. An old rusted coin. Crushing the coin temporarily boosts luck. This rusted coin gives you that little extra bit of luck, making items and the like easier to find. The coin is engraved with the image of a god that was worshipped in ancient times, but no one knows its true origins. I don't remember from the Dark Souls 1 description who it's supposed to be. Prism Stone. A slightly warm rock emits a beautiful phasing aura of 7 colors with a very rare 8th. The Prism Stone does nothing special, but if you feel you may lose your way, it can serve as a path marker. And then we got the small white sign soapstone. Online play item, leave a summon sign. Be summoned as a shade to another world in order to help that world's master for a certain time. You will be rewarded for successfully assisting the other player. The effect is not as long-lived as that of the white sign soapstone, and it is used only in particular places. I mean, I guess that's kind of true, but basically, if you can put your white sign down, you can put your small white soapstone down too. So I'm not really sure. Maybe originally there was supposed to be a more clear distinction, but there's certainly not anymore. All right. Hit this bonfire. We'll press on here. Go ahead and get that guy before he gets me. And then wait for the parry. Take him out. Ain't nothing to see here. Soul of a lost undead. Now there is a door over here, but it's locked. Womp womp. We'll come back to that later. Yeah, we'll teach those infantry units how to parry. If it's the last thing we do. Shakes fist in rage. All these infantry, you know what they gotta do. They need to hit up the internet. They need to check out the Fextra Life Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin wiki. And they need to get good. That's what they gotta do. Another small area to explore over here. Gotta... Oh, no! Whew. That could have been bad. That could have been real bad. Could have gotten an infantry axe up my poop chute. And that's not really what I would constitute as a good time. I don't know why I have so much trouble getting the guard break mechanic to work properly in this game. Whoa! I was way slow on that parry. That's more like it. That's what we want to see. There's no better time than in the middle of being shot at from all directions by arrows. There's never been a better time to practice your parries. Practice your parries, kids. Parrying seriously makes a lot of this game easier. It's a pretty important skill to pick up. Stop shooting. What? That was weird. That was odd. My attack phased through him. He bugged out for a second. I don't know. Bizarre. Bizarre. Alright. So I kind of lied. This is Kale the Cartographer, and he's got a mouthful to say. He's a lot like the Crestfallen Knight in Majula. He's just really likes the sound of his own voice, so let's just get this over with instead of complaining about it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just daydreaming, I think. My name is Kale. I'm a traveler like yourself. I'm navigating the continent to create a map.
He's making a map of Drangleic.
Why cartography, you ask? Well, that's a good question. When I first came into this forsaken land, it was... a curse? Something about a curse. How embarrassing. I seem to have lost my focus. But I do know one thing for certain. I have always been very fond of maps. I came to this land some time ago. Drangleic, the Lost Kingdom. It sounded so romantic. Have you seen Majula? Oh, there's a rather spacious mansion there. I've made it my temporary home. Well, as something of a squatter, I'm afraid. Inside the mansion, I found a strange map, like none I'd ever seen. I believe that it's a map of Drangleic. Now I'm traveling the land to prove it. Yes, that's it. That's why I came to the kingdom. Wait, no, that wasn't it. Then what? I don't seem to recall. Were you looking for that map? Wonderful. Then you're fascinated by maps, just like me. Shame on you. You should have told me before. Here, take this. A key to the mansion.
Get the house key. We'll look at that in a second.
What a joy to meet a kindred spirit out here. Incredible, really, isn't it? Such a map to be chiseled in stone. Oh, but one thing. I would not venture deep into the mansion. Now, I can't be certain, but I've heard disturbing noises. Something about it feels wrong. Just be careful, please.
A not-so-subtle warning about things that may be in the mansion.
I'll be back in Majula soon. Perhaps we will meet again and discuss maps at our leisure. I'll be
Okay,
back.
so that's all of his dialogue. So that character is like kind of the first hint at a overarching theme throughout Dark Souls 2. Well, it's hinted at by, towards the player previously by both the women in red at the beginning and the Emerald Herald. This idea of why did we come to Drangleic? Why am I here? I don't remember why I've come to this place. I came here for a purpose with a reason, but I don't remember what it was. We're gonna see that that's an ongoing theme throughout the game. Dangerous and stealing things from deep in the mansion. Dark Souls 2 in the same universe as Darkest Dungeon confirmed. It's the antediluvian evils that rest in the Darkest Dungeon. Let's take a look at the key that we got. House key. Key to the abandoned house in Majula. Received from Kale the cartographer. In the past, Majula served as a dumping ground for horrible things, but is now a gathering place for those with no better place to go. It seems this house in Majula was the final home for few such souls. Majula served as a dumping ground for horrible things, but is now a gathering place for those with no better place to go. I'm going to talk about that when we get back to Majula, because I do want to mention that. Or make an addition to that. I mean, I don't really need to wait. A dumping ground for horrible things. From what I know about the lore, that seems to suggest that the pit in Majula, where people dump bodies and refuse and basically dispose of their trash, it seems to suggest that the pit in Majula was there long before there were people inhabiting it. And becoming kind of a hub where people actually live is more of a new sort of thing that's going on. Which makes me wonder a little bit about the timeline of Majula specifically. Come on. That is to say, was like the pit, was it like there for sewage as some sort, like an old school type of sewage system, or did they build the pit far away from civilization so they had a place where they can get rid of their refuse and garbage and trash and all that stuff? Because we can tell that there's old, really, old structures surrounding Majula. So it kind of makes me wonder about the timeline a little bit as well. Get parried! Or not reposted, but you got parried, son. And that's like 75% of the battle, right? Whoa, I totally forgot you were up there. It's okay, we got throwing knives. Don't need the high ground when you have throwing knives. We want to equip this fire bomb real quick. Gonna go ahead and blow a hole in this wall. Make a nice little shortcut for ourselves here. Get parried. I got parries for everyone here. Everyone gets a parry. Handing them out like hotcakes. I'm gonna rest up here. I'm gonna take a quick trip back to Majula. I think I'm also gonna go ahead and buy this Pharos' Lockstone, maybe. No, I think I'm actually gonna use these to level up. We got 5,001 souls. That one soul might be important. You just never know with these things. You just never know. Alright. First things first. I believe now we should have enough Titanite shards to get up to at least +2. Yeah. We can buy... Here's what we're going to do with these souls, actually. We're going to go ahead and buy 2 Titanite shards. And then we're going to go ahead and bring my rapier up to +3.
I'll be around. What?
Do I have any arrows? I have 3 arrows. I think I'm going to use some of these souls on a level up, though.
Bearer of seek the king, lest the
Yeah, that's good for now. Because I want to be able to go ahead and use my fire longsword as a sub-weapon. And then I guess we'll pick up some arrows. Use, let's just use this Soul of a Proud Knight. That should get us a pretty decent amount of these wood arrows here, 227. That should be more than enough for the time being.
I'll be around.
We're feeling a little bit ballsy, so we're gonna go ahead and fight the pursuer early. Try to fight the pursuer early. We can probably beat him. I'm not that worried about losing to him. Oh my gosh, I do that so often. I teleported from Majula to Majula. That doesn't help us at all. That's not where we need to be. That's not where we have to go. Alright. Gonna come over here. Wait for this guy to... Whoa, can't parry the shield bash. Come on in here. Can parry that, though. Got him. That's not fantastic. Alright, whatever. Get out of here, yo. If you could parry like me, you wouldn't need to worry so much about it. Alright. Was hoping that he would swing into the barrels there, but he did not. Go ahead and equip my bow and arrows here. I think I might be able to hit him from here. Maybe? Yeah, alright, cool. The old ironclad helm. That's a pretty rare drop. Super heavy, all things considered. Huh? We're at... oh, we can't even wear it. looks pretty goofy. Old ironclad helm. Old helm worn by ironclad soldiers. Boasts high defense but extremely heavy. What did I just say? What did I just get done saying? One day, warriors wearing decrepit armor emerged from Drangley Castle and quietly assumed positions amongst the royal army. Not one of them ever spoke a word or revealed the face under the mask. Interesting. Short bow. We already got the short bow. This is a cool entrance. This is one of the coolest entrances for any boss in the entire series. And if you disagree, fuck you. That's all I'm saying about that. Oh, I don't think you can parry that. What? Chug! Definitely can't parry that. That's a bad attack. Get parried, son! The Pursuer, once you kind of know his, the rhythm, he's really easy to take down. Get parried again! We got parries for days here, friend. Parries for days. I ain't afraid of no Pursuer. When the Pursuer's a little bitch, you're like Gwen. I could just parry you all day. That is much less of a bitch move. Got the Soul of the Pursuer and the Ring of Blades, but we can't be looking at that quite yet. We got some hollows to deal with here. Ain't no thing. That, ladies and gentlemen, that is what getting good looks like. Except for that little bit at the beginning, but we can edit that out in post. Nobody needs to see that. Ooh, a bastard sword. That's a pretty rare drop too. All right, so we got some things we picked up that we got to look at. We got to read. We're doing it for the lore. Lore is so good, so important. Ring of Blades is a great ring. Its effect is it increases your physical attack. If we look at our stats, we can see, where is it? Our right hand, our rapier does a base 186 damage. If we go ahead and equip the Ring of Blades, we're looking at 206 damage. So that's 20 points damage more just for equipping the weapon, the ring. Like I said, we got a couple of things to look at here. For starters, Ring of Blades. The Ring of Blades is modeled after the Mad Knight of Alkin's weapon of choice. Increases physical attack. The kingdoms of Alkin and Ven long ago flourished on these very grounds. They were both founded by the same man, but were reduced to rivalry and spite. The kingdoms of Alkin and Ven long ago flourished on these very grounds. Meaning Drangleic? I suppose so. So long before Drangleic, there was Alkin and Ven. They were both founded by the same man, but were reduced to rivalry and spite. Interesting. There's a there is a parallel there between Alkin, Ven, and Drangleic. We'll get to that later. Next, we picked up our first repair powders. Let's go have a look-see at these. Enchanted metal rendered into powder repairs equipment. Allow weapons. Wow. Weapons and armor wear down with use. Allow too much wear and you won't be able to use them. You have only yourself to blame if you find yourself in crisis with no powder to spare. That's kind of that is a little bit of a lie, video game. Let's get this straight. The only people that we have to blame if we find ourselves in crisis with no powder to spare is From Software, because they made repair powder few and far between until the end of the game where you can buy an unlimited amount of it. So we're looking at you, FromSoft. Don't you laugh at us, the players, for taking advantage of your repair powder. It's possible that that was my second one. Doesn't matter. Doesn't really matter. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Bastard Sword. A standard greatsword. Heavy greatswords are designed to be wielded two-handed, normally swung in large arcs and effective against multiple foes. Be wary that such attacks leave the wielder wide open. We can take a quick look at the Bastard Sword. We would have to two-hand it at this point, but it's true, it does have very large arcing swings, which can be very useful. Bastard Sword's got a pretty good moveset, all things considered. And if you're going to go with like a heavy weapon strength build, the Bastard Sword is a pretty good weapon you can get fairly early on. That will serve you pretty well. Unupgraded, it has 203 attack with our Ring of Blades. But we're sticking with our rapier, thank you very much. Because we like to parry something. We like to parry. And the rapier has a great critical hit damage. We're gonna run back to Majula again here. Well, actually, what we should do with these souls is go ahead and buy this fragrant branch of yore. Because that will let us,
Take these, if you want them.
that lets us get the coveted silver serpent ring +1.
Lowly.
We have a couple more things to look at. I just wanted to do that before I forgot about it. Coveted silver serpent ring +1. A silver ring depicting the snake, both the servant and manifestation of the god of greed, Xandro. Greed is traditionally viewed as a vice, but only a fool allows that to ruin a good opportunity. Interesting. And then we have, lastly, but certainly not least, Soul of the Pursuer. Soul of the Pursuer who lurks in Drangleic. The pursuer who seeks the bearer of the sign will not rest until his target is slain. Use the special soul of the pursuer to acquire numerous souls or to create something of great worth. We'll talk about my sort of concerns with this in a little bit. And my concerns pertaining to the pursuer specifically have more to do with Scholar of the First Sin rather than the base game of Dark Souls 2. But like I said, we'll talk about that a little more later when we get to the Lost Bastille. Heading back to Majula. There's a couple of things we should do in Majula. Yeah, it's honestly, Swerve, it's been a while since I've done like a real lore-focused play of a Dark Souls game. So I admit there's probably gonna be stuff that that I pick up and totally forget to read because in my mind it's inconsequential. A lot of stuff, the description doesn't necessarily have any lore on it. Nothing really significant. This is the pit that I was talking about earlier. They drop all their garbage and refuse and dead bodies down there. And it's just looking at it, right? It makes me wonder which came first. If the pit was here first and then the settlement was kind of built around it for some reason. Like, this place where, oh, you know, we can dispose our garbage here. There's a reason to build a settlement here. Or, what I think is most likely the case is this mansion in particular was here. They used the pit to drop refuse. And in recent history, these small shacks were built as the closest thing to shelter that you'll find in Majula. But if we look around, we can tell that clearly there was something here in the past. Up over there, if we throw my binoculars back on real quick here. Up over here we can see these stone structures. Over here this is obviously some sort of gateway. If we head over there, inside that cave, whatever you want to call it, we can see more old ancient ruins. I'm not really sure on that timeline, honestly. Doesn't really matter too much, but it is a lore point. It is something to kind of talk about. Which came first, Majula or the pit? This is the mansion that Kale the cartographer was talking to us about. I don't know who needs books this big. Who needs a book that big? It's just impractical. Just impractical. And this book, it has melted wax all over it. What's that supposed to accomplish? Just ruining the book. Listen carefully, horse. Can you hear it from in here? No, you can't. I think it would have been really cool if maybe they had the skeleton Because there's a skeleton enemy down below. We'll see that in a second. It would have been a really cool touch to have the skeleton maybe walking around and you could actually hear the skeleton moving around doing things on the bottom floor, which kind of would have given credence to what Kale said about, you know, don't go too deep into the mansion. There's something going on in there. But we can't. The only thing we can hear is up over here. We can hear that sound, which there's little creatures in Majula right next to this house outside of it. I very rarely tackle with them. I think their only real function is that they drop red eye orbs, like cracked red eye orbs. So if early on in the game you want to do some invading, you can kill them for red eye orbs. I don't think they do anything else. But that sound isn't coming from in the mansion. And down here where we see this map, where Kale clearly found this map, chiseled in stone, we don't actually hear anything. Is it that Kale hears the creatures outside and thinks that it's coming from deep in the mansion? That seems a little too coincidental. That dialogue about sounds coming in from the mansion, it's just to warn, like, suggest that something's down there. I think. But it would have been cool if the game, if the atmosphere, if they actually had sound that you can hear coming from coming up from downstairs. But yeah, this is the map of what Kale believes to be Drangleic. Another something we'll have to come back to later. But there is a skeleton back here. And he's gonna get parried like everyone else. That did nothing. That did no damage at all. You must be like, wow, that's... Huh. I wonder if that's like just a design oversight. That's really bizarre that the parry did 42 damage. Like the riposte. I parried him, I got the riposte. It did 42 damage. But like my regular attacks did 160, I think it was. That's bizarre. He drops a human effigy. Have a torch sconce over here. We have another Estus flask shard. Nothing back there. And in here we have this very ornate chest with a pretty important item in it. Get our first soul vessel. Let's take a look at that. A vessel that will accept your souls. It can allow relocation of levels, but without proper assistance, it may simply drain you of souls. If you truly wish to start again, go to the place where your journey began. So, this item is interpreted in, can be interpreted, I should say, in a couple of different ways. Some people think that it's a soul vessel. It's a Lord soul, like from Dark Souls 1, where you can deposit your souls into it and basically carry them around, and they can be used and reallocated. So you can change your stats. You can rebuild your character. You do that from Things Betwixt. Go to the place where your journey began. Things Betwixt, the woman in red. The other interpretation is that what it is doesn't matter. It's pure existence. It exists purely for gameplay purposes. Because one of the major complaints was that your characters weren't able to respec and change their builds after the game started in Dark Souls 1. So they added a respec system to both Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3 to address that problem. I like it. I understand why, from a design perspective, they would want you to really commit to your character build in Dark Souls 1, and I understand the sort of thematic behind why they didn't have respecking in Dark Souls 1. And Bloodborne, for that matter. You couldn't respec in Bloodborne. But it is a good touch in Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3, and I'm glad that they added it. Here we have our lovely Emerald waifu hanging out by the bonfire. We're going to go ahead and use our souls. Oops. Got some big Mac Daddy level ups coming in. I mean, you put your rapier between his ribs where there was nothing there. That is a good point. I wonder if her posts with thrusting, like swords and slash thrusting weapons in specific, have that effect. That is a possibility. It could be like one of those subtle things where lore and gameplay meet. I don't know. I don't know the reasoning behind it. We'll go ahead and level up here.
Is that a shard you found? Here, let me see it, so that I may help you. To see light, to see hope, however faint it might be.
It's just a belt hanging off her. I thought for a second there that might be a weapon, but it's just a belt hanging on her side. We can see something cool here. If you look on her, on the left side of the Emerald Herald here, you'll see a feather. We'll learn a little bit more about that later. And the symbol that she has on her dress, the symbol on her chest, we'll come across that again later. I'm not sure if that is supposed to have any lore significance, but now that I think about it, it might. We'll have to see. Alright. Let's upgrade our Estus Flask shards. Or upgrade our Estus Flask with the shards, I should say, really. And we'll go ahead, let's just get our dexterity to 20, and then we'll start bringing our adaptability up. Seems like a pretty solid play to me. And then we're going to return to Cardinal Tower in a second. But we have reached the 1 hour mark. I'm going to take my my first hour break. I might end up making myself some tea again tonight, like I have been in the past. The tea with honey, I drink green tea with honey. It is super good on my throat, especially for something like this where I'm talking a lot. There's a lot to read, there's a lot to talk about. So I'm probably going to go ahead and make myself some tea. I will be back, I would say, in 5 minutes, 10 minutes tops. I'm going to go ahead and turn the webcam off during the break. This is partly a courtesy, so you're not just staring at an empty room. partly a courtesy to, because I am uploading these to YouTube. I haven't really talked about that yet. I am uploading these to YouTube, and kind of as a courtesy to the YouTube viewers, I will turn my camera off at the start of the break, turn it back on after the break ends. That way you can kind of quickly mouse through the video and see when the break starts and when the break ends, and you can skip the break, the 10 minutes where there's just nothing going on. So we'll go ahead and do that now. I will be back in like 10 minutes. Alright. We are back. Pew! There was a slight tea fiasco, which lost us a couple of minutes. That's good stuff. We're gonna dive right back into it. Nothing really to use these 1,000 souls on right now, I guess, except for maybe arrows. But I don't really need arrows right now. Feels like kind of a waste. I got plenty of arrows currently. So we're going to head back to the Cardinal Tower because there's still plenty more to do. Still plenty more to do. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and go in this direction. Whoa! You need to relax, fam. Come with it now. Drop down there, drop down here. This is one of the, I would say, one of the harder ambushes, especially for a newer player. I talked about this a little bit yesterday about how the ambushes kind of suck, especially for newer players. But, we can't even really see him here. I was trying to say that if you look around the corner here, well, you can see that guy. So if you're like really stretching, you can see one guy around the corner here. But you can't see any of them really manning the ballistas. So you go to walk into there, and if you're not careful, immediately get shot. Yeah. That's a really, really kind of shitty, tricky thing that they have going on. But we're one-shotting these guys right now with our +30 rapier. Well, we were one-shotting them. I don't know what's different about that guy. We get Great Soul Arrow, Large Soul of a Lost Undead, and a blue wooden shield. Let's take a look at some of this stuff, shall we? Wooden shield used from ancient times, inferior to metal shields in terms of stability and physical damage reduction, but easy to use and weighing so little that it hardly requires any strength to bear. If you're going for like a low strength build, it's a pretty okay shield. There are better low strength shields in the game. One we will be getting fairly soon, but it's an option. And then we also got a spell. We got Great Soul Arrow. A spell superior to the Soul Arrow, more powerful and effective at damaging enemies resistant to physical attacks. The strength of this spell is influenced by one's intelligence. Sorry about that. I had to clear my throat there. So for most, that'll kind of be the first spell that you pick up. Although you can buy some spells from Valencia. Some basic sorceries and yeah. So there I fired a ballista across the way. I'll show you this real quick. Fired a ballista over here. There are these black explosive barrels over here. The ballistas will blow those up and kill a few guys over on this side, but we're not worried about that quite yet. There's more to explore. More to explore down here. This chest is trapped. How you react to it depends on which trap it is, because it could be one of two. It could be either the arrow trap, in which case you want to like head over here and stand kind of diagonally to it, or it could be the poison trap, in which case you just want to step away, and it's the poison trap. Roll away. I think it could be one of those two traps anyway. I've seen it be both, so yeah, it's got to be able to be one of those two traps. I'm not sure what dictates which type of trap it actually is. Oh, we haven't looked at the Ferrous Lockstone yet, or the Fragment Branch of Yore, so we'll go ahead and do that now. Stone activating a creation of Pharos the Vagabond. Pharos the Vagabond was a legend who wandered the lands creating contraptions to help those in sincere and dire need. The scope of his travels was so wide that Pharos had been mistakenly credited with many inventions that were crafted by others. A fragment branch of Yore, a fragment tree branch of with a faint sweet smell. Restores the life of things turned to stone. Extended inhalation of the branch's scent can lead to coughing and nausea. These are kind of like keys in the sense that there are petrified persons blocking paths. Alliteration is very fun. And you use the fragment branch of Yore to break them out. I will sample that when we get to it. But for now, the Pharos Lockstone you use on these faces on the walls. And it usually causes something to glow like this. Now this secret is active. We can hit that wall. And we get two chests over here. A Titanite slab, which is very useful. I'll look at that in a second. And a Chloranthy ring. I wasn't lying. You probably thought I was lying. Let's take a look at these. Titanite slab. Titanite slab used to reinforce equipment. Reinforces equipment up to +10, which is the maximum for any standard Titanite-based equipment. Titanite was discovered in an ancient layer of earth and is said to be a gift of the gods. One of the original slabs that provided the world with all forms of Titanite. Titanite slabs were created to smith the weapons of the gods, or so the legends say. A lot of overlay from the regular Titanite shard. We'll find plenty more Titanite. And different types of Titanite. There's still more. Over here we have this door. Does not open from this side. What happens if we knock? Let's give it a knock. I think I missed. There we go. That time we hit. Knock, knock. Oh, I missed. Okay. That's cool, I guess. Oh, boy. Oh, man. How am I alive? I just need to get some distance. Estes? Yeah, okay. There we go. We're all hunky-dory dandy. Ow. Except for that. That was pretty rude. But we're fine. Everything worked out in the end. I don't know how I survived there. I really do not. We got a large Titanite shard and a life ring. A lot of loot to be had down here. Alright, let's take a look at that life ring first. An old ring set with a red jewel raises maximum HP. Each ring has a different power, and even very modest rings can be a great boon on a perilous journey. Basically does what the blue seal does. We're going to swap that off for the Chloranthy ring, though. And then the other thing we got was a large Titanite shard. Very similar to the other Titanite shards. Large Titanite shard used to reinforce equipment, reinforces equipment up to +6. Titanite was discovered in an ancient layer of earth and is said to be a gift from the gods. Titanite of this size has tremendous power and is very rare to find. So we can actually, we can go ahead and use that to get our rapier up to +4 when the time comes. Now that way is the path to progress. Over here is Pate. Let's see what Pate has to say, huh?
Hello there. Traveling all alone in these treacherous times. Well, I hope you have a very good reason. Oh, hogwash. Who am I to judge? My name is Pate. I journey hither and thither on a sort of treasure hunt, you might call it. Be careful out there. There's talk of unsavory bandits who prey upon travelers like yourself. Oh yes, you be cautious if you go any farther. There's treasure in there for certain, but the entrance locks from behind. I saw the same design earlier, and it's the same contraption, I'm sure. I was with this warrior, you see, and he insisted that he go inside first. The rather brusque fellow tried to swipe the lid for himself, but it trapped him inside. I still have the gent's ring. I do hope he wasn't harmed.
Interesting. So he's talking about another unnamed person he seemed to be traveling with. Had a similar experience.
I'll leave this one to you. I'm worried about what might be inside. I'll leave this.
So this is the Patches character for Dark Souls 2. Very, very similar design in like the face. I think it's a different voice actor. I'm not 100% sure now that I think about it, but seems to be a little tricky. But a little less so than Patches, you know? Like, Patches would be like, oh, there's treasure ahead. And then we get locked. You know, this gate drops down and locks from behind us. And then he'll go, the treasure is you, friend. The treasure is the trinkets I'll pick off of your corpse. Pate is a little bit different. He overtly tells us, you know, be careful if you go any further, because this gate is going to close from behind you and you'll get trapped. We're going to do this in 1 second. I want to show off the fact that you can actually get to this from a different direction. Apparently, not a lot of people realize this. So I do want to go ahead and show that off. These guys, you can stand out of their range and just take them out with bow and arrow. Assuming you actually hit them. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Up ahead we see two royal soldiers attacking a tree. We'll get a better look at that in a second. Over here we have this guy, who will get up and attack us if we're not careful. Hollow Soldier Shield. Let's see what that says. Shield of hollowed royal soldiers. The thing is in tatters and only serves as a shield in a most minimal respect. The accoutrements of royal soldiers feature a depiction of a brave knight from an old parable. And honestly, for the shields that you start with in this game, this one is not a bad pickup if you manage to get it. But there are better shields. There are much better shields. It's not a great shield by any stretch of the imagination, but it's okay. It's acceptable for earlier on in the game. So, the Crestfallen Knight, Saldin, I think is his name, told us that the corpses of giants were literally growing into trees. And we see that that actually is the case for the first time here. That this is the corpse of a giant and it's actually growing into a tree. Suggesting that the trees in this area are actually fallen giants. And we have two hollow soldiers just attacking them. Just caught kind of in this, this battle haze. Of course we can't kill him. And we're going to. Unless we fuck up our parry 100% of the time. Who needs parries? Parries are overrated. Large soul of a lost undead. Alas, nothing happened. We'll come back to that at a later point in the game. We see a couple of guys over there. And a staircase here, and staircases usually lead to loot. Here we have another locked door. I wonder. Trying to see if you can get the royal soldiers on the other side to open this door for you. Doesn't seem like it. Because that would be interesting. Doesn't seem like it. Here, we'll keep things easy. How about that? Why tangle with anybody from a close distance when you could just take them out from afar? That's why bows are so good in this game. Particularly Dark Souls 2. Another hollow soldier shield. Up here we can see loot. This is another ambush. A lot of ambushes in this area. I don't really like that. From the perspective for new players, I think that can have a real negative impact for newer players to the game. To the series, because the game basically tells you to go here first, and then it uses all these cheap ambush tactics in the area. I don't really approve of it much at all, but if you come over here and look, whoop. These guys do start dropping down, and there's 4 of them total. So for a lot of players who will just run up that ladder, run up this platform right to the loot, boy oh boy, they're in for a rude awakening. Way too early. That one always throws me off for some reason. So in practice, for a newer player who doesn't know that those hollows are up there, you go running up here, you pick up this loot, and then when you turn your camera back around to head back down, suddenly you've got 4 guys against you and you're fighting on this little tiny platform, and one wrong move and you're dead. I just don't think it's great design. Some people would use the term artificial difficulty. I don't think it's artificially difficult. It's intentionally difficult. And for experienced players, you know how to control that difficulty curve a little bit better. Like, I aggroed them and I pulled them back down. So instead of fighting them up here where there's no room to maneuver, I brought them back down here where I have all the space that I need. It's not really artificial difficulty. But it is a notch too high on the difficulty meters, especially for newer players. That's my opinion, that's my perspective. I think it's poor design in that respect. But I suppose it is what it is. Here we have a fog gate. This brings us back around to the other half of the Cardinal Tower that we couldn't access earlier. Hollow soldier armor. Probably not a hollow lot more lore on it. Pun. But let's check it out. Armor worn by hollowed royal soldiers appears to be crafted with quality materials, but is highly degraded and close to falling apart. Wearing this will be of little use. It is slightly higher stats from what we have, but as you can see, it bounces us from 3.5 units to 8.6. It's more than double for not really a whole lot. We'll throw it on though. We'll take a look at it. It's old and dilapidated. It looks cool. I think it does look cool. I do like this armor. But it's definitely seen better days, I'm sure. We'll go ahead and blend in. How about that? Large leather shield and a life gem. Are you going to check on that one place by Pate, or are you on the way to do that? I'm going to do that. I almost forgot, to be honest with you, but I will do that. I just like opening up this shortcut here first. Let's take a look at the large leather shield real quick. A leather-covered shield preferred by hunters. Inferior to metal shields in terms of stability and physical damage reduction, but easy to use and weighing so little that it hardly requires any strength to bear. This shield is 1.5. It only has 40 stability, which isn't great. It's better than the hollow shield and the blue wooden shield. But it has 90% physical damage reduction. For a shield that light, to have that much damage reduction, it's a pretty darn good shield. I do recommend using that shield. If you need something light, especially. So I wanted to open this shortcut here. Come on, man. But we're gonna double back real quick and do that event with Pate, because we will need to do that for the quest anyway. So I was planning on doing it when I was back over here. I kind of got distracted talking about the where did you come from, buddy? Weird. I kind of got distracted talking about the corpse of the giant. But there is a ladder here, and we can go up this ladder. This is the other way. I'm gonna showcase it in a second here, but I want to go in this direction first. Pick up a light crossbow. A standard crossbow. Equip bolts to use. Unlike bows, a crossbow can be held in one hand. Equip up to 2 types of bolts to give yourself immediate options in battle. Pretty much the same principle as a bow and arrow. Over here is a weird secret. This is something that they didn't added in Scholar of the First Sin. I don't know where all of these guys are, but we can clearly see a shadow, right? Look carefully. Visions of shade. Dark spirit. Look carefully. You attack, and there's an invisible hollow sitting there who drops a smooth and silky stone. I don't really understand why they added it. I don't really see the point, but it's interesting. Smooth and silky stone. A perfectly smooth and silky stone. Go figure. Used to restore HP. The shine of this stone is no ordinary polish and can only be achieved over a long period. Some in this land are in search of such mystical stones. You can use it like a life gem, but we're going to hang on to it. I'll show you what it's used for probably before I end this stream. Make this jump. Soul of a nameless soldier and a torch. I hear you. I hear you, buddy. Don't worry. I haven't forgotten about you. I haven't forgotten about you. Come over here. We have a mail breaker and an infantry helm. Mailbreaker, a slightly stubby thrusting sword, has a sharp, sturdy blade designed for thrusting. The Mailbreaker has limited reach but a powerful critical attack, effective against foes donning thick armor or with naturally hard skin. Effect, shield piercing, strong attack. It's a piece of crap. Mailbreaker is a terrible weapon, always has been, always will be. Got nothing more to say about the Mailbreaker. Don't use it. And then that was everything we picked up, I believe. Over here. Alright. We'll go ahead, jump down here. Back up the ladder, and then we'll go in the opposite direction. Over here. We can actually get up here. I was trying to see if I could jump that, but we can't. You can destroy these barrels. This wagon. And we can see, if we look down below, there's Pate. We're on top of the gate that closes. That's where the where the ambush typically happens. But you can come up this way and go around here. And if we look, not yet, not yet. If we look around this corner, we can see a bunch of guys. This fight isn't necessarily easier if you do it from this direction, but if you attempt this ambush from the front, from the normal gate, and whoa, that was not what I was expecting him to do for some reason, and die, a lot of people are like, I lost my souls, I can't get my souls back. I thought that the first... I thought that for a little while, let me tell you. But then you realize that you can get... There's a back way to get to this ambush. But we do want to come out into this courtyard, because if we listen here for a second, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to walk forward. we can hear and see the gate close. It's not evident if Pate is supposed to be locking the gate behind you, or what exactly. I don't really know. But I believe you need to get the gates to close, I believe, to trigger Pate's next dialogue, which is important. Some aromatic ooze. More about Melfia here. A mysterious sticky substance that radiates a pale white light applies magic to right-hand weapon. The affected weapon inflicts magic damage for a short time, particularly effective against heavily armored foes or creatures with thick scales. Then here we have a secret wall, which is accessed by walking up to the wall and pressing the confirm button. In my case, it's X. We can go ahead and open up this treasure chest. We get a sorcerer's staff and an amber herb. Sorcerer's staff being a casting catalyst for sorcerer characters. The first staff of most sorcerers is a catalyst for sorceries and hexes. To use sorceries, attune a sorcery at a bonfire and equip a staff. The strength of most sorceries is affected by the caster's intelligence. But man, we too dumb to use sorceries. Our intelligence is too low. Our attunement slots are too low. We won't be using sorceries anytime soon, most likely. Alright. Now we can drop down over here. Have a conversation with this nice gentleman.
Well, I see you managed to escape. I hope that brave warrior didn't come a cropper either. Be careful out there. There's talk of unsavory bandits who prey upon travelers like yourself.
Unsavory bandits who prey upon travelers like yourself. Are you referring to yourself, Pate? Is that what's going on? Seems kind of sketchy to me.
Oh. But you should take this.
White sign soapstone.
It allows undead to call out for help to one another across the fissures between worlds. With luck, somebody will lend you a hand. Well, I see you.
Okay.
Be careful.
So we got our white sign soapstone. This is a item, not a weapon. This is a item that enables co-op play. You put that down, you get summoned into another player's world. You can collect souls, basically free of charge. You can collect souls, and when you die, you don't lose your souls. So if you're looking to farm souls relatively quickly and fairly effortlessly, the white sign soapstone's the way to do it. Or join the Covenant of Champions. Your choice. Online play item, leave a summon sign. Be summoned as a phantom to another world in order to help that world's master for a certain time. You will be rewarded with a token of fidelity for successfully assisting the other player. The flow of time is distorted in these lands, and the white sign soapstone allows undead to assist one another. Might go ahead and try and get summoned, because we do need a token of fidelity for something a little later on. In the meantime, we're going to swing back over here. Whoa! What are you doing out of your cage, sir? We're gonna hit this bonfire real quick. I'm going to swap back to some lighter armor here. One shot, one kill. We're going to take this elevator down. There he goes. If you look carefully while coming down this elevator, you can see an ironclad going up. Get this guy. Hope that ironclad doesn't come after me immediately. He got off the elevator. He's coming for us, kids. Oh, no, he's turning around. He doesn't know what he's doing, does he? Doesn't have much of an aggro range, it seems. It's alright, it's just an ironclad. Seems like he's got a lot more health than most of them do, though. Maybe it's just because I wasn't getting the critical or the counter hits. That's much better. A moment for our fallen comrade. Is this another player? It is. We have there's a few different summons that we can go with. Sellsword Luette is a new NPC summon, and of course you have Mild Manner Pate. The cool thing about Sellsword Luette, I want to talk about this really quickly. The cool thing about Sellsword Luette is that he has a ring. I forget the name of the ring off the top of my head. I believe Sweet Chalcor sells it. Sweet Chalcor sells it. It's a ring that increases chances that enemies will aggro to you. This NPC was added for Scholar of the First Sin, and I'm going to talk about this for a second because I think it's cool from a design perspective. He has a ring that causes enemies to aggro to you. He doesn't do a lot of damage. But the purpose of him being in the game, the purpose of him being a summon, you can summon, is that he'll draw the aggro from the enemies, which is incredibly helpful when you have character... In Dark Souls 2, they do quests in a kind of unique way. You have to summon the NPCs a certain amount of times to progress their quest. So for Mild Manner Pate, to progress his quest, we have to summon him here for the Last Giant. We're not going to do it because the Last Giant is a pushover. You really have little to worry about. But if you are struggling to keep Mild Manner Pate alive, you can summon Sellsword Luette, who will hold aggro for the boss. Just something to think about it if you're planning on doing this all yourself at any point. We're just gonna take off the buckler, I think. Gonna take off all this stuff so we can roll a little bit faster. And go ahead and use our aromatic ooze here. Now we have our first real boss fight. What? I was rolling, sir. He's gonna go ahead and rip his arm off. That's how badly he wants to beat us. He'll rip his arm us. He'll rip his own arm off. Oh man, I'm getting my ass kicked here. He'll rip his own arm off to kill us. I'm going to talk about these things in just a second. What you just witnessed when we stepped into the boss room, the last giant getting particularly aggressive, ripping himself off of, kind of out of his bindings to attack us. I want you to commit this moment to memory, because we will be encountering this moment again. We're going to be encountering it in a slightly different way. I'll explain what I mean when I get there and why I think this is a very cool moment in Dark Souls 2. Let's go ahead and read those item descriptions. Soldier key. Key to the soldier's door in the forest of the fallen giants. A fort was erected in the forest of... Let me try that again. A fort was erected in the forest to face the giants, but now the soldiers are lost and hollowed. They are enfeebled, but not without honor, and continue to steadfastly defend their country. And I talked about this a little when we were at the corpse of the giant, how even in their hollowed state, the undead soldiers are very hostile towards the giant. It's dead, it's a corpse, there's a tree grown out of it, but they're still incredibly, incredibly hostile towards it. Says a lot, talks a little bit about kind of the state of what happens to your mind when you become hollow. And it also says a lot about the soldier's dedication. Alright. Let's go ahead and re-equip our equipment here. Short bow and our fire longsword. I don't think I ever looked at this, the halberd. Halberds are combinations of axes and spears with unique bladed tips. Can be used in spear-like thrust attacks or in axe-like sweeping attacks. The halberd challenges a warrior's skills, but can be a very effective weapon when its two functions are applied properly. That's true. The halberd can be very, very strong, but it's a very difficult weapon to use. And that's because of the way that the hitbox on weapons functions. I'll swap to it so I can explain this very, very briefly. So the halberd is largely, you largely attack with that chopping action, right? Followed up by the stab. But you're only doing maximum damage if you're hitting with the bladed section. During these kind of overhead attacks and these sweeping strikes, if you don't hit with the bladed section, if you deal damage with the shaft of the weapon, it does virtually nothing. But if you can hit with the tip of the weapon and get that hitbox right, oh man, it is a very, very powerful weapon. Very, very powerful weapon. Gonna go ahead and head back up. Over there we can see the salamanders. This salamander down here in particular that we can see, that salamander in particular is actually the one shooting us when we go to get the fire longsword. So like I said, we can get to that spot from two different ways. Backstaboo. Actually, before we even head back to Majula, while we're here, might as well pick up another couple of some things. Because now that we have the soldier's key, we can open some of these locked doors throughout the fort. This one in particular gets us to the other side of this room over here. For treasure, man. Gotta do it for the treasure. Ring of Restoration. And 3 torches. Whoops. Ring of Restoration. A protective ring passed down in the House Osteria. Gradually restores HP. In the sacred land of Lindelt, this ring symbolized prosperity and longevity for the great House Osteria. But the ring is fragile and breaks easily, as if it hates being taken for granted. I think they nerfed that ring. I really do think that they nerfed that ring. I don't remember any specific patch notes about it, but that ring used to be super helpful, and now it's not super helpful. Here we see a gold armored knight guarding this immaculate door. The Grand Lance, another super powerful weapon. The stat requirements are intense. They're really high. Where is that? A lance fashioned from rare gay steel, designed for high-ranking Drangleic knights, hence the decorative design. Gay steel equipment is of the finest make, but gay steel is so rare that very few of these weapons were actually used in combat. We'll go ahead and take a look at this real quick. Oh, it's a cool weapon. It looks awesome. It's super powerful. It's super powerful. It's a fantastic weapon. Really, it's a good early game boss killer weapon. But I'll show you. 22 strength and 18 dexterity, so you need some investment before you can really use it. Especially one-handed. But this is another weapon, especially for newer players. That's actually a pretty awesome weapon. That will carry you through the entire game. I do highly, highly recommend it. But we got our trusty little rapier here. I'm satisfied with that. Get 2 more amber herbs. What are you doing over here, buddy? He will only attack you if you come close to him, by the way. But like a lot of enemies, he can get parried to death pretty easily. Didn't drop anything. Maybe I missed it. But stepping up to this door normally causes a message to pop up across the screen that says "Produce the symbol of the king." We don't know what that means yet, do we? So we'll have to come back to this at a later date. And we don't know anything about the knights protecting the door either, so we'll talk about that when we know more about it. Meanwhile, I'm going to wrap up the stream here with a couple of things. First off, we have some souls to use and souls to spend. We have souls in spades. We still have to look at the soul of the last giant here. Soul of the surviving giant who was bound below the forest of the giants. The lord of the giants, who had brought wrack and ruin to the entire kingdom, was said to have been felled by an unknown warrior. His beaten and broken remains were then dragged beneath the stronghold where he was sealed away. We'll come back to this lore point. But this is the Lord of the Giants. This is the King Mac Daddy of the Giants, who had brought wrack and ruin to the entire kingdom, was said to have been felled by an unknown warrior. Make a mental note of this lore point, because we will be coming back to it. We will be readdressing that. Interesting. That is an online play function. You can be invaded. It hasn't happened to us yet, surprisingly, but you can be invaded. This is a online play thing. You can burn a human effigy, which prevents you from being invaded for, I believe, a half an hour. It suggests a half an hour. When you kill the boss of an area, it causes the same effect. So I guess if you really wanted to, if you wanted to be invaded after you beat the boss, you can nullify the human effigy's effect. Never really noticed that until now, though. Neat. Alright, let's head back to Majula. We're kind of wasting time. There's still a little bit more of the Forest of the Fallen Giants that we'll probably clear during our next stream. But for now, we just kind of want to wrap things up by spending these 19,000 souls. Definitely want to spend them.
Bearer of the seek less.
I want to bring both my vitality and adaptability up. I have 10 points. Probably should bring my health up at some point too. I think I'm gonna bring my adaptability up for now. Why don't we'll meet in the middle. We'll do 5 adaptability, we'll do 5 health. Seems pretty good to me for now. And Malentia, after you beat the last giant and hit the bonfire in Cardinal Tower to come back to Majula, Malentia will reappear here, or show up in Majula, where instead of only 10 life gems, she will sell an unlimited amount of life gems. So as soon as you beat the last giant, you have access to as many life gems as you need. It's pretty good. Pretty good deal.
Lonely town.
The very last thing I want to do before we wrap up our stream, if you remember, earlier we killed that hollow, we picked up a smooth and silky stone. I'm going to go ahead and show you what this is used for. We're going to head over to Things Betwixt real quick. Finish up the last of my tea. Tea is fantastic. Coffee is nice. I like coffee because it helps keep me awake, but there's something just special about tea. I really find tea a lot more relaxing. Despite the fact that tea does have caffeine in it. But tea puts me to sleep, honestly. It makes me feel drowsy. We are going the wrong direction. Alright, we're gonna come over here. We're gonna climb this ladder. And we are,
You, give us more. Yes, you, give us Silky.
So the crows just asked for exactly what they wanted. They want something smooth, and they want something silky. Isn't it convenient that we just happen to have a stone that is smooth and silky? What happens when we leave this behind?
So nice, so smooth. Yeah, silky smooth.
They love it. They eat that up. And they leave,
Oh, give it smooth. Yes.
they left us a dark night stone behind. So you can trade in silky, smooth stones, and they will drop a variety of items. They can drop Titanite materials, they can drop upgrade materials, they can drop certain weapons, they can drop certain rings. You can get some pretty good stuff from the crows. I just wanted to show what the main, not really the main what the secret functionality of the silky smooth stones were. Why am I taking the long way back to Majula? I don't need to. I don't need to. Can go ahead and head back over here to the bonfire, which we can take right back to Majula. There was just a player ghost power stancing Zweihanders. That, you need so much strength to do that. That's like 40 something strength, I think. That's a lot of strength to do that. That's, wow. All right, we're gonna wrap it up here. Made up for our 10-minute break. Been streaming for 2 hours and 10 minutes. That's where's about where I like to end the stream, especially when I have work the next morning, because I do like to get at least a few hours of sleep. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna wrap it up here. Thank you all for watching. Shout out to you viewers on YouTube. You are not with us on the stream, but you are not forgotten. We appreciate your support just as much as we appreciate anybody else's. Thank you all for being here tonight. Sleep well. Have a good day tomorrow. I might be back tomorrow to stream. I probably will be back tomorrow to stream. And that's because I have off Saturday. So tomorrow night I'll probably be back at it streaming. It might be a longer stream. We'll see how that goes. We'll look into that tomorrow night. Same place, same time. Twitch.tv/UzukiFTW. 11 p.m. Eastern. Come for the fun. We'll be doing more Dark Souls 2 lore through. Have a good night, everybody.